You are now tuned into Flippin the Birds, a Philly Sports Network podcast.
What's going on, Eagles fans? Welcome all to another episode of Flippin the Birds. This is our Eagles mailbag podcast called That's Your Cue. I'm Brian Cameron, joined alongside Morgan Burkett and special guest Kyle Houlihan. What's going on, guys?
Hey guys, how you doing? It's good to be here.
Yeah, happy to have you. Happy to be doing the mailbag again. It's always I like the other podcast too, but I always like doing this one for sure.
So we do have a good amount of questions to dive into. Now we are broadcasting live on our personal YouTube channel, Flippin the Birds, which I think we'll be doing on Thursdays to kind of build up that channel, and then we'll be giving out the audio version of it on Thursday nights on our regular Flippin the Birds channel. So, sorry, I'm like rushing everywhere right now.
No, you're good, man.
Yeah, it's all good.
All right, let's
busy day. Do you get the tattoo done?
I did, yeah.
Oh wait, what's the I can't see it.
Damn,
yeah,
how do you like?
Right, it's a weird part of your arm to be shown.
Yeah, stand up.
Oh, that's dope. I like that.
Ooh.
So it's a lion because my daughter's a Leo.
Yeah.
My daughter's name, and then her spine where she's affected by because of spina bifida.
Yeah, that's dope. I like that tattoo.
But it's like I don't know if I told you, Morgan. I'm super anal and super OCD with certain things that are mine. Like if I see a scratch anywhere, if I see something wrong, like I start flipping out. Yeah. So I'm walking around like I got a cast on my arm, making sure nothing happens.
Yeah. Like, I mean, you got other tattoos, right?
No, it's my first tattoo actually.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you don't have it covered right now.
So they told me to take it off the cover and then to cover it overnight because that's when it's most of the ink is gonna bleed out. So I'm letting it breathe right now. I just took it off probably like an hour ago. Yeah.
And then just put like a good cream on it all the time. This is not. I mean, so this is not what our podcast is about. But
no, absolutely not. This is not.
No, it's not. It's not. But give me a pain level 1 through 10. What'd you think?
You got
any tattoos, Kyle?
It wasn't as bad.
Okay, yeah.
So that's a nice spot.
Against my skin. I got one like in that spot too. That's a nice spot.
It wasn't so bad, but when she started doing the shading, I guess that's when it got a little annoying per se. Like,
it's dark too. Yeah. She would have to go back and forth.
It was it's really a pain in the ass.
That's really just it. Like it's just the shading is like the annoying part. Whenever they're doing like straight lines or anything, it's not really that bad, or the darker lines, but the shading stuff. Yeah,
it definitely wasn't terrible when she was doing all that.
As long as they're not heavy-handed. I got a couple where just big dudes that just drove it into my leg, and it was just like that. That was. Oh no,
she was definitely delicate. That's what I told my wife.
That's good.
So it's not a bad first tattoo, but just I'm not looking forward to the whole taking care of it part for the next 2 weeks or so to make sure it's straight.
It won't be that bad. No. Anyways, sorry, man. Yeah. But it won't be that bad. You got this.
Already,
you can take care of a child. You can take care of a tattoo. 100%.
Well, it's funny because my daughter just kicked me right there a couple minutes ago. So
yeah, I mean, what are children for?
Exactly.
Like that, yeah.
That's the beauty of it. But we do have a bunch of questions. Shout out to Ben J for joining us live tonight. Definitely big shout out to you because he's a regular for Flippin the Birds.
Yeah, fellow Canadian too. Always love that.
Oh, nice. Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
All right, so you ready for our first question?
Of course.
We have a lot of them.
Let's do it.
All right, so let's start with the easy one first. We're gonna go with the Bride Guy 90 at Twitter. Is there any positives about Siriani that can be discussed? His play calling is horrendous. Player preparation looks like a joke. I'm struggling to find any. So what I tell you the definition of insanity is on Tuesday.
Yeah, I mean, you make good points. I think I'm sure that we all have stuff to say on this matter, but I think you brought in a coach that we knew where he kind of stood. We're starting to see some different things from him. We thought efficiency, we thought the running game was what he's going to bring to the table. Maybe not as much. I still think there's nothing wrong with his running game. He's just not using it. So I still think there's a lot of stuff that's going well with this offense. I think it's a compound issue between Jalen Hurts kind of going through growing pains and the offense. I don't put it all on the scheme itself. Play calling, a bit of an issue. He's a young coach, but I think one of the positives is, we're talking about a coach who one of the big things when he came in is player development. And I'll be damned if we're not seeing some player development. I think Jalen Reagor's, making strides. He might not be the guy we thought he was when he's a first round pick, but he's looking better. We always knew who Devontae Smith was. We're seeing no regression, and I don't see anyone coming and regressing. Any young players, I don't think they're getting worse. So that's a big factor. But Quez Watkins, and it might just be on him, but luck is opportunity meets hard work, right? So I think that there's a lot going into that. So I think that's going to be the key. Is I don't ever think this is a 1 year thing. I think it's a 2 or 3 year thing. So if the players can keep developing and his scheme works, and the iron out the kinks, I don't think this is a lost season or anything like that. That's my take.
Go ahead, Kyle.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, something I struggle with the narrative, and I think we all talk in the Slack, and it's hard when the prevailing voices like WIP or other voices in the city, you hear what they talk about, and we've pitted coach versus quarterback. And that, to me, I was writing about this today, and hopefully tomorrow morning I'll have an article out with a part about this, is it's a tired narrative. Sure, it sells, it's great, but we're constantly putting them at odds. Is it Nick Sirianni's fault? Is it Jalen Hurts' fault? And it's really, to me, it's really frustrating, because the coach quarterback, that's a symbiotic relationship.
Right.
They both I genuinely think this past week against the Bucs, I think that game was much more so on Jalen Hurts than Nick Sirianni. I felt like he just missed so many throws, and I think we're starting to see and I think some of the beat writers who are a little bit more with it and I think are a little bit more watching the game film are saying, okay, Jalen's missing a lot of throws. Yeah. You can't just say that Nick Sirianni is making bad calls. So I think it's a little too soon. I'm sorry, I'm kind of monologuing right now, but I think it's a bit too soon to be like, oh, Nick Sirianni's trash. Players aren't developing. The calls are bad. Guys are open.
Yeah.
Guys are open, and there's room for both of them to improve. I don't know why we can't run from under center. I don't understand that. And I can't explain that. But the passing game, the concepts aren't bad. This isn't terrible. Yeah.
I think I agree with both of you guys. I don't think this is a Sirianni issue. I kind of told you on Tuesday that Hurts is on my shit list right now, just because he's doing too much with the little time that he has. We can look at it like that. It's no mystery what's going to happen at the end of the season if he doesn't show any steps in the right direction. Howie Roseman has gone the full length of trying to get Deshaun Watson to Philly. The full length. I mean, the guy hired an investigator for this situation. So it's no secret Hurts is not the guy to the front office, and we're starting to see why. I personally feel like, and I talked to you about this on Tuesday, Morgan, that Hurts is his own enemy. I mean, he's pulling the ball away in these RPOs, thinking that he can do better than Miles Sanders can.
Right.
When the season first began, my thing was Sirianni is a run. He wants to establish the run and hide Jalen's weaknesses. Jalen is exposing his weaknesses, right, and doing the complete opposite. Like you can't be Superman if you don't have a cape yet. Point blank. You can't run if you don't know how to walk yet. And Jalen Hurts is exposing himself to these defenses. The RPO is a joke to me. The RPO is more of a weapon for defenses than it is for offenses at this point. They figured it out. It's no mystery what's going to happen, especially with a quarterback like Jalen Hurts. But my issue is it's not Sirianni. That's why I even tweeted out on Tuesday. I'm very curious to see what a veteran quarterback would look like under center for Sirianni. Like, bring in Flacco for a couple drives at the end of the game if you feel like Hurts is, needs to take a couple seconds off and just see the field from a different point of view. They did it to Wentz last year. It's not a terrible thing to do that to a rookie quarterback. They did it to Tua as well. I mean, but Tua's in a different situation now. It needs to happen. Like this kid he's not helping himself out of this situation. and I don't see it going in the right direction for the rest of the season. No, honestly.
Right.
Yeah, one point that you made, which is, I think they think Nick Sirianni is like in love with the RPO. Yeah, he's calling it a lot. He's calling it to isolate reads for Jalen Hurts so he doesn't have to make a read. And I'm sorry if I'm making points you guys have already made on other podcasts.
Hey, clarify
it. Like, he's not calling an RPO because he wants to run RPOs down people's throat. He's calling RPOs because he thinks the best thing for Jalen Hurts is to give him a single isolated read on one wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's because he's not seeing the field. As everyone on planet Earth or anybody on Twitter knows, Jalen Hurts, only 3% of his passes have been over the middle. So
that's insane.
We've got a really, really clear distinction of what he likes to do and what he doesn't like to do. He doesn't want to throw the ball over the middle. And so Nick Sirianni is trying to help him.
Yep.
It's a wild situation to be in for Jalen Hurts and the Eagles franchise.
Yeah.
Let's talk about quarterbacks a little bit.
All right.
So at King_A_Leo, Matt Corral or Malik Willis. I haven't done much tape on these guys. I haven't watched much tape on these guys, but Corral has actually had me curious today. So go ahead, Morgan.
Yeah.
You want me to go first?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I can go if you want.
Yeah.
I got it. I don't mind. We'll take turns going first.
Okay, yeah, I got it. So Matt Corral, he plays at Ole Miss, and
they play each other in November.
Oh, do they? I actually didn't know that. Okay, that's actually wow. Liberty's gonna get killed. Not that Liberty's not that like. That doesn't say anything about Malik Willis. It's just they're at different points. One's trying to like build up to being a D1 school that's elite, and Ole Miss has been there for forever. Mm-hmm. And Matt Corral, he's kind of cool. He reminds me a lot of like he's probably he seems like a more durable Zach Wilson, like to kind of put it in molds people understand. Kind of can throw from whatever angle. He just like flicks the ball with no problem.
He has a weird throwing motion, right? Or is that just me?
It's a little, it's a little odd. He kind of sidearms.
It's a little bit like Lamar Jackson.
We're talking about Corral. Or we're talking about Willis.
Corral.
If you don't like sidearm, you won't like the Willis tape.
Yeah. No.
Anyways, sorry, go ahead.
But no. So Corral, he's put on really good tape. Basically, the main issue with him, most people have kind of seen, is that he seems to take too much risk. He's a little Favre-ish, where he's just like heaving Hail Marys and kind of like betting on his arm talent. So that's not great. But on the other side, I don't know how you guys feel about Malik Willis, but my brother and I kind of got into a fight about this the other day. As I was like, I think Malik Willis is just another guy. Yeah. Like, I think he's just a college quarterback. He doesn't like he does have a cannon. I'll give him that. Yeah. But if people want to compare him to Lamar's taller. Lamar is way faster. Malik's quick. He's not lightning fast. Mm-hmm. And I just haven't seen any accuracy to think he's gonna be able to do what Lamar did.
Yeah. I mean, both points kind of nailed in the head, similar to what I've seen on tape. With Matt Corral, the issue that I have, the biggest issue is, and this is more of a me issue than probably a scout or issue or a draft issue. Like I'm not in, like, I don't like the dude personality wise. Like, there's just something about him in the locker room that I just think that, like, he's going to be one of those guys that needs some talent around him early.
You're talking about first.
Yeah. I don't like, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just like, I don't see, like, for example, personality wise, Jalen Hurts, regardless of the talent on the field, is fantastic. A1 kind of guy, a leader. He could be a backup in the NFL and you want it on your team for years. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter about the talent. Like, he's just one of those guys. So I think, like, and we're taking the Eagles into consideration. And I assume we're talking about a guy that the Eagles might pick with one of their top 3 picks if this is the scenario. And, like, if that guy's coming into the locker room. I just don't like. I see that developing. He's got to develop some leadership. He's a mature guy. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, just like I don't resonate with him. And again, that might be just more of a me thing. Definitely more technically sound, like what Kyle was talking about. He's got good arm talent. There's the risks issue. I don't know if he's going to be available. The way this draft is shaping up, like I think at this point, like it's always tough. I feel like in this draft, and I know we're going to talk about other quarterbacks in the draft later, so I won't get too into it. But in this draft in particular, similar to some we've seen in the past, but not like the last two, it's going to really come down to the pre-draft stuff for this one. Like it's really going to matter. The interviews are really going to matter. The throwing days are really going to matter. Maybe even the combine testing, like who knows, are really going to matter. But I assume that he's going to be the first guy, and there's so many quarterback needy teams that will probably get high draft picks. If Miami trades for Deshaun Watson or not, that pick will fluctuate. So I don't even know if he's going to be available for the Eagles. So there's that put out. With Malik Willis, it's crazy. The sidearm. The nice thing is great arm talent, with being able to throw from all different kinds of angles. But it's very sidearm. It's like a skewed Carson Wentz mechanic too, where it's very slow. Like he's coming up, he's coming out, and he's coming around, he's coming sideways. It's just like
takes too long to progress.
Yeah, I don't know if it's something that needs complete redoing. It's a lot of rehab, it's just a weird motion.
Okay.
Like it's the flick. So he's got that like Michael Vick kind of flick of the wrist thing though, where everything's coming from like elbow up. Like the arm strength is fantastic. And then, what Kyle talking about, comparing him to Lamar, like if that's the quarterback you're kind of the mold you're kind of fitting him into, you got to talk about strength of schedule and just who he's playing against too. Like he looks great against the teams that Liberty are playing. I think the Ole Miss game will be really telling. That's a really important game. That's literally their only, big game on the schedule. But he's going to look great. His receivers are wide open when they're open. There's a few tight window throws, but it's mostly him just gunning that ball in there. There's no like finesse or touch on it. He's really just, tossing it in there. So again, if we're talking about a guy that the Eagles are going to take in the first round, like he's not the answer this year. There's no chance that he comes in this year and plays well. If he can sit for a year or two, maybe it's the guy, but I don't think he's, going to take, the number one spot for Matt Corral. I think that's his to lose.
So I haven't watched enough tape on him. I'll be honest. I just started watching tape on Corral today. I've heard about Willis through Twitter. I've heard about Willis through several of the followers of Flippin the Birds. So I'll be honest, I haven't watched much on them. But I just don't think that's the direction that the Eagles will go in. Because Ben J has a question really quick. Says, are either upgrades to Hurts? I don't think either of them are an upgrade for Jalen Hurts right now. Because
this season,
so it's like if the Eagles are going to go for somebody, they're going to go for an upgrade. Deshaun Watson's not happening. We could clear that out of the air. But there's still one quarterback out there that we know Howie, if he's still around, was enamored with. We know Jeffrey is enamored with. And we know he's going to be on the outs of Seattle. That to me, that makes the most sense. If you really feel like your team is one quarterback away from at least contending for a playoff spot, Russell Wilson's the guy. If he demands for the trade, which for some weird reason that's the expectation now. But if they don't go for a veteran quarterback, I don't think they're going to go for a young cornerback in the first round. It just doesn't make sense to me, especially if Howie's not around anymore. Whoever's going to come in is going to come in and look at the defense as a glaring weakness and like, hey, let's build a defense first and let's rock with Jalen another year and see what Jalen can, if he takes any steps forward. But then going back to Jalen, it's not going to help if we don't get rid of the training wheels. If we don't get rid of the RPOs, it's not helping at all. I mean, it's weird that he doesn't fit the scheme and the scheme doesn't fit him.
Yeah. And okay, so this is a question again. I think we have like something similar later, so we might dive into it later, or you can throw it up now. But I think you're getting at something that I wanted to talk about too. And this whole approach.
Is this a question or
yeah, exactly.
Or I think it's one and the same.
We got a lot of questions there, around the same thing. So
let's just kill the quarterback question for now. Let's just talk quarterbacks for a couple minutes.
Okay. So I think like this entire issue and the entire approach to the draft completely depends on your phrasing of the problem we have. So and it's all rhetoric at this point. But what I'm trying to say is, if you believe that this is a case of this quarterback doesn't fit this offense, I believe in this offense we need a different quarterback, then your top most likely 3 quarterbacks do not fit this offense. If your problem is we don't like the skill set that Jalen Hurts is bringing to the table, we need a guy who's going to sit in the pocket, get rid of the ball early. That's none of these guys. Corral's the best guy on the board, but that's not his MO. He does what Jalen Hurts does. Maybe he's more accurate. Maybe he's obviously a bit bigger, but a similar kind of player, right? So if your issue is this quarterback doesn't fit, we need a quarterback that fits, it's not in this draft unless you're drafting later. And there is a guy that I'd be willing on sitting, but none of these guys are coming in ready to play next season and are going to fit that mold. If your issue is this isn't the quarterback, this isn't the offense, or Nick Siriani is going to build another offense around a new quarterback and this isn't the guy, then you're not looking at a huge upgrade in the first. I think Corral's a better quarterback. I'll say it straight up. I think that he's gonna be a better, especially in his first 10 games. I think Jalen Hurts has done great. I just feel like missing a lot of stuff on tape. And honestly, look at any of these guys, they're all missing a lot on tape. Yeah, there's no Taylor Lawrence in this draft. There's no Joe Burrow in this draft. There's no bona fide number 1. They're all missing stuff on tape. They're all making up for it in other ways. So I just don't think there's that guy that, you're bringing in, whatever your issue is. If it's, we don't love this quarterback or we don't love the fit, there's not that answer in this draft. So in that case, go defense, do what Washington's doing. And then it sounds like they might even trade for Tua. Find that guy later on some other way.
I completely agree with that. But my issue with Hurts is that it's not that he's such a he's a one-trick pony. And I hate to call it that, but that's the best way to for lack of a better term. All he can really do is run to the right side, and he's either going to throw it or he's going to run. That's it. Right. That side of the field is all Jalen. The left side of the field is not touched. As Kyle specified before, the middle of the field is not touched. Hell, the running game is not even moving. So it's kind of like, you know what? I lost the point I was going to make.
Yeah. Well,
you're just in the middle of it, man.
Getting frustrated right now.
No, it's okay. And I'll make a couple of quick points. Is I don't think either of any of the quarterbacks that I've seen so far, and you never know, maybe somebody turns it on late, or you have a crazy Joe Burrow kind of situation. But I don't see that happening right now. But right now, I don't think any of them are substantially better than Jalen Hurts or going to be a huge. I think to your point, Morgan, I think down the line, Corral has the potential. But again, you're taking a huge developmental hit, which is fine. If you were we have to get the guy, that's fine. But nobody's a huge upgrade. And somebody asked about Sam Howe, and Howe was okay last year, and he has not been amazing this year. Yeah, he did lose his entire football team. He lost his 2 starting wide receivers, and he lost his 2 starting running backs, and I think he lost a lineman too. So quite honestly, he lost all of his good players, and they were all drafted, and they're all pretty decent pros. So he lost a lot of talent, but no, he's another guy, in my opinion. What do I know? I mean, I'm just watching some games and going through that stuff, but he doesn't seem to me to really anticipate anything, which is again the problem.
I don't love that offense either. I don't know that it really gives you much to go off of either. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, it's stale. No, it's stale. It's very stale. I understand. Yeah, and that's the other thing. One thing I was going to say about Matt Corral is he runs a lot.
Yeah.
Like they're successful
that I did
because
notice that today.
he runs like 30 times a game.
Yeah.
And that's okay. But
some of the same issues you see with Jalen Hurts, where he's taking his eyes down early and he knows he's going to roll out. So if you're frustrated this season.
And it's such a weird thing because, again, Eagles had the right quarterback that fit this system. If Jeff Lurie, can I call him Jeff? Let's call him Jeff.
Yeah.
If Jeff had made the right decision and had gone away with, Doug and Howie, the Eagles would not be in the predicament that they're currently in. Think about it. I mean, we would have had a quarterback that could play on the center, that could have been, having that fresh feeling with, a new staff, with an actual defense, an actual offense that possibly fits him, an actual receiver that will actually get open. But it's such a stupid move that they put themselves in to be in this situation where Jalen Hurts is now going to be possibly ruined for the rest of his career. Looked at as a backup, as Morgan subtly put out there that Jalen Hurts will be a great backup in the future. He's going to look like that because the Eagles are going to run him to the ground this season. They're going to make the NFL think that this kid is not really much more than a backup. Just pissed me off.
That tattoo, that post-tattoo anger is a real thing, by the way, Brian. It's frustration, feeling pain for a while. It gets on your nerves for sure. It's a real thing.
I kind of woke up angry today. I told my wife that, and we couldn't figure out why.
Yeah,
but just carrying over.
Angry. I get you.
No, but like if you think about how it's kind of one of those situations where you're like, you're telling your best friend stop going out with that girl. You guys they break up. You're like, hey,
me and my best friends aren't that close. We don't.
Well, you tell them to not go out that girl because he's toxic, whatever the case may be, and they keep going back. That's literally Jeffrey Lurie with Howie Roseman and with this Eagles organization. Mm-hmm. They literally don't understand what they're doing, and Howie is trying to put a Band-Aid on what he did last season by shooting for the stars with Deshaun Watson. I'm pretty sure at trade deadline we're gonna hear some wild rumor that Howie Roseman called to Seattle to see Wilson's availability.
See, they were so willing to break up the offensive coordinator position into five. Like they should just do that with the GM. Let Howie do what he does. Let him do cap stuff. Let him sign free agents for no money in the offseason. That's fantastic. Leave the draft to and he's hit on a few. Don't get me wrong.
He has some diamonds in the rough, but it's so few and far between.
The track record is not great.
It's not good at all. And at some point, you got to say, they had that power with the guy before Andrew Berry. Who was it? Joe Douglas. They had it kind of working with Joe, where it seemed like he was kind of like
the Jets right now, bro. Like I don't think
nobody said Joe was great. I was saying he was an equalizer.
Yeah, we'd have Denzel Mims instead of Jalen Reagor. Like I don't know if that's much better.
I don't know what's much better at this point. I'm fearful that the Eagles turns their franchise as the Cleveland Browns before Baker Mayfield.
Hey, but they found a way. Anyways,
decades later.
Yeah. Let's bring up the mood, Brian. Come on, man. We got some other questions.
I wasn't expecting to come on here and have a Wentz stand.
Yeah, no, that's not. You know what it is? I read a stat and it kind of pissed me off. Where Carson Wentz, his passer rating to 10 yards down the field is like 147.
Yeah,
first in the league.
He hasn't changed who he was. He just got a better offensive coordinator that fits him.
Okay. All right.
Well, I also wonder. So this is I guess maybe this is a little inside baseball. I really dove in on Indianapolis at one point just to it was for an article I was trying to write. Mm-hmm. And I wonder if this happened. They normally make all of their quarterbacks see the throwing specialist, Tom House. Mm-hmm. And I wonder if that happened for Wentz, if they made him do that, or if he resisted that.
So I know this because of an article too. He saw Tom House 3 years ago when he was injured after the MVP season. Mm. Or maybe
I just wonder if he went back to him. Yeah, because that's their standard procedure is in the offseason. They work with the Colts quarterbacks work with Tom House for a little bit.
I would love to hear that guy talk. Oh my goodness. Yeah. He's probably a genius.
Yeah. Anyways, I'm sure he knows. Yeah.
Right, so the next
Brian got us off track and now we're just talking football. So
the QB.
I can't believe we're talking football.
Yeah.
QB. All right, so we answered 3 questions in one statement, so that's good. Let's talk this one because this is actually a pretty insightful thing right now being put out there where the Eagles are actually going to end up being sellers more than they're going to be buyers. There's one name out there that I'm kind of ticked off that's out there. Miles Sanders. Apparently could be shopped, which to me doesn't make a lot of sense in the world. Who do you feel like we will move before the deadline? Because at this point, we definitely are. They're definitely going to be selling.
Yeah, you know what? I just don't think. I don't think Howie's going to do it, actually, because I just think he doesn't want. I don't think he's going to sell because it doesn't look great for us as an organization. And I don't think he wants. Yeah, and it doesn't look good for him. And I don't think he wants to sell too hard because I actually don't think, in my estimation, maybe I'm giving Howie too much credit. I don't think it's smart to sell too hard because if we, give everyone away, then we're a bad team now. We're going to be even worse.
Mm-hmm.
And then how are you evaluating Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni? So right. I just don't see it. He's not a huge seller, to be honest. He never.
So he's
has
not
been.
That stupid, is what you're saying.
I hope not. I hope not.
I think Ertz was that trade. Like, I think the trade everyone was waiting for the trade deadline. Like, I think Ertz is that trade. There's a few guys on the roster that would be very Howie to just part ways with. I don't know if you're going to get much trade value, but like, for example, just throwing this out there, Eric Wilson saw a major dip in snaps. Davion Taylor's pacing him. Like in years past, we've seen this where Howie Roseman just goes, screw the veteran, and cuts him. He's not being paid much.
Well, apparently there's a rumor that he's shopping Singleton and Edwards.
Yeah, well, like similarly, again, I just don't know. Like, we're talking about trades. Who is like, okay, Edwards might have some trade value. I don't know after, especially watching the Tampa Bay game, that anyone's picking up the phone for Alex Singleton. Yeah. I like the guy. I think he's got a great upside. I don't think his best football is past him. I think that he can grow, but after what he's putting on the field, after watching him get steamrolled by Leonard Fournette over and over and over again, I don't think anyone's picking up the phone going, hey, man, I'd love to give you some assets for Alex Singleton.
Yeah.
So I think that's the issue. I think that we would be sellers if someone was buying. So who would they buy? Andre Dillard, I don't think we're getting rid of him anytime soon, especially after seeing Mailata already miss some snaps, especially after Brooks, like after the O-line has had so many injuries. I don't think we're in a place to sell any of those assets. Just traded Ertz. He was like the big, guy on the offense that was, movable. None of the I've heard talk of Jalen Reagor. It just doesn't.
He has no value.
Makes it. Also, again, if Howie is proving himself, trading away your first round pick from 2 years ago for
not ideal.
It's going to be peanuts. What are you going to get? A fourth, maybe. Maybe some depth, like a swing. Defensive lineman, offensive lineman. Something like that. It doesn't look good. Yeah, I mean, Ben, talking about Fletcher Cox, like I
don't see that's Howie's best friend.
Yeah, is it that time of like the Eagles?
Especially with the defensive line, look how they're looking. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but
complete renaissance. Like you just
it doesn't make sense.
Ertz, Jason Kelsey's probably retiring, and then you're going to get rid of Fletch mid-season. Like, at least you let the guy play out the year, I feel like. And honestly, he's coming on recently. Like, he's looking a lot better every game. Clearly was dealing with some hampering injuries. So, maybe some cuts.
Yeah, they could cut a few guys. Maybe. Quite honestly, Eric Wilson has been much maligned fairly. But I didn't realize Eric Wilson wasn't that bad in coverage till Davion Taylor was in coverage during Tampa Bay game, because that kid didn't know what was happening. He genuinely, there were two plays where he just like completely ran the wrong way. And I was like, like watching the all 22 is this wonderful blessing. But at the same time, you're just like watching the play and you're like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And it just drives you insane.
Well, don't tell Jalen Hurts that, because apparently we don't see what he sees.
Yeah. I don't know what they're looking at.
I hate that excuse.
Yeah.
Go ahead, sir.
I mean, I think, like, granted, like, there's a lot I don't know about football, and there's a lot, a lot of people, like, we're not experts, we're not scouts, but we do the best that we can. But some things are obvious. Some things are like, hey, run the damn ball from under center. It's not that hard, and then like the throw over the middle, not that hard. Like some things are simple. But I guess in terms of Cox, real quick, I'll just touch on that. Is I don't see it happening. It'd be really, really tough on the cap. The dead cap hits like crazy. They added like dummy years onto his contract to push more money into the future, which is Howie's trick. And guess what? It works great. It's a fantastic trick, unless you need to get rid of that play.
And that's why no one gets traded. Exactly.
Yeah, I don't see them moving on from Cox at all. I don't know. I mean, because if the rumors, like there's rumors out there that possibly Howie's on the hot seat for the first time in God knows how long. If those rumors are true, like you got to think like, Von Miller's walking off the field with an injury. That sucks. You would have to think that he's gonna do some wild type of move where it looks good on the surface, but it's terrible beneath that. And the fact that you have players like Miles Sanders, rumored to be traded. Dallas Goedert in the beginning of the season, rumored to be available. Like it's the wildest things, and the fact that he was praising Tyree Jackson like that, like it just feels like nobody's safe because Howie's not safe, and that's a scary thing to be in right now for Eagles fans and for the Eagles as well.
Wait, I'll entertain the Fletcher Cox trade real quick by one more second by saying I do think so. If we're gonna run the Seattle route and say that they wanted Wilson, I think quite honestly Seattle does the strangest things.
Yeah,
every year they make a bizarre, mind-blowing first-round pick that you're like, what happened? Why did we do this? Who is this guy? Everyone's like running to the internet and they're like, who is this guy that they just drafted? And so they make some really weird personnel decisions. They traded so many first-round picks for Jamal Adams. I don't understand why. I don't get it. So Howie's that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, that's like the only scenario I see him getting traded is like if Seattle wanted him in a Russ trade.
Right. You think? I mean, all right. Let's play devil's advocate for a little bit because we actually did finish up the questions pretty quickly because four of them were actually about quarterbacks.
There was one in there we didn't really get to that I'll bring up later.
Okay. Playing devil's advocate, Seattle. If you call Seattle and you say, "Hey, look, I put Fletcher Cox on the table. If you take Jalen Hurts, and I'll give you 1 first-round pick for Russell Wilson, and possibly like a 3rd, 2nd here, whatever case may be." You think Seattle bites on something like that?
I think it's got to be two picks and Cox's. 2 firsts and Cox is probably enough, I would think.
Yeah, I think it's going to be like not a Deshaun Watson situation, but similar to like an Ertz situation in the summer where you really have to feel out how much leverage Seattle has. Like right now, they're clearly completely willing to let Russell play out the rest of the season and try and win a Super Bowl still. Like they're still in the playoff conversation. We'll see after he comes back what the damage is, but it seems like they're completely willing to let him play out the rest of the season and then find a new home. Like I don't think there's any urgency on Seattle's part. Even
with the injury?
It's a finger injury. Is it gonna? He's gonna come back at some point in the season.
Yeah, it's not a huge deal, honestly. My dad.
If you could sell him high with the injury, like,
Yeah, but this what I'm saying is like his value now versus his value after the season's over. Like I don't know. Like I just like what I think is like there's not gonna be many teams going. Seattle has no leverage right now. Like. If they're able to get into the playoffs and make a run, that is way more valuable to Seattle than 1 first-round pick or 2 first-round picks or Fletcher Cox. Like I think to them, they still think they can win. They're gonna win. Like I don't think it's a rebuild ever for Seattle. In their heads. Like I just think they're that kind of team because they got Jamal Adams. So
yeah, they have Jamal Adams. They have they have the best blitzing safety in the NFL. Come on.
Yeah, exactly.
That's everything.
So you did mention a question. Which one do we overlook?
Yeah, so when we kind of glossed over is we were talking about kind of like top quarterbacks, but we got Kyle, on the podcast, and he's fantastic at draft stuff and breaking down film as well. So they were asking as well. I think this was from Ryan. This question is So just talking about draft picks, is there anyone maybe not in that top 3 that we haven't talked about that you really like? And I have one name that I'll throw out there too, but I'll let Kyle go first. If there's any later in the draft or even 4th guy, 5th guy that you like.
I think Desmond Ridder seems interesting from Cincinnati. He's super tall, so he's not going to have seeing over the middle problems or seeing over the line problems. He runs really well. He's honestly just like a taller Carson Wentz. That's kind of how I see it. He also, I think he runs a little better than Carson does, but he takes these super long strides, so he's not like crazy quick. So Ritter's interesting. I think I have a little bit. Do you get Carson Strong from Nevada is kind of cool. Okay. He definitely. He's probably going to be a 2nd or 3rd round pick right now, looking at it, just because Nevada doesn't play anybody, and people are like, I don't know. Right. But he looks really good to me. He throws a crazy good deep ball, and the offense he's in seems to run a little bit more pro style, a little more under center. So I do think you're getting a slightly better evaluation from him. So probably Carson Strong from Nevada, but Cincinnati's kicking ass this year. And they have a pretty good quarterback in Desmond Ridder. I'm not sure if he has the accuracy, but I think unlike anticipation and a feel for the game, accuracy, I think can.
Is his timing better than Jalen Hurts? No,
not right now. No.
A quarterback that I do want to ask you about, because Marcus Johnson actually brought this up to us on the last podcast. Excuse me if I say this wrong, but Will Levis from Kentucky, 6'3", 231 pounds.
Yeah, see, this is why because I haven't it's for me my quarterback watching and stuff like that happens after the season. I did some some film work, but I haven't looked at that. I trust the man if he thinks it's a great prospect. I think the caveat is that like this is not a come in and start tomorrow kind of quarterback.
No,
like, at this point we're picking and choosing. We're saying 2 or 3 years down the road. Is this a guy? I think like for me, the guy that I like again, and this is putting it into that lens where the fit is the issue with the quarterback. So if we're keeping the Siriani offense, I really like the way that the Pitt guy Kenny Pickett. Was watching some film on him. Balls out quick, really like that. Arm strength is decent. It's not like gonna wow you. Big, tall guy, stands in the pocket. There's some happy feet issues. He really moves his feet, shuffles his feet a bit too much sometimes. But again, a developmental guy, like not the same, but like gives me kind of Mac Jones, stand in the pocket. He's going to deliver. He's going to, pick you apart. And if that's what we need for this offense, he's one of those developmental guys. I have no concept of when he will go. I think, again, even just to judge when quarterbacks are going to go this year is completely all over the place. If someone doesn't go high, then there's going to be a run on quarterbacks, and then someone could get pushed up and people will panic. So like it's way too early to say. But
does it feel like kind of like the Mitchell Trubisky draft?
This is
like,
definitely
it was like a rush of quarterbacks, and Chicago could have Pat Mahomes, but they ended up with Mitch after they trade. I think they traded.
Except I don't think any of the quarterbacks will go that high. I think maybe Matt Corral will go in the top 3, top 5.
But what I'm saying, like, is there you think possibly it's that kind of draft where these quarterbacks end up being these elite quarterbacks that they are now, like the Lamar Jacksons, the Pat Mahomes? I think
I don't that draft. I don't think we're gonna get a lot of elite quarterbacks out of this draft. I think it might be like a Pat Mahomes kind of situation where the best quarterback is like the 4th or 5th one drafted, and someone you get a little bit lucky, but also at the same time you're drafting traits, which is what they did. They just took the crazy arm talent and his just natural feel for the game of football, and they bet on that. I mean, actually, I like the Kenny Pickett call. I think that's nice. I mean, if he's there in like the 3rd or 4th round, I'm all for it. I mean, he probably, just the way this draft is going, he's probably going to go earlier, or the way this like quarterback class is looking at the draft. We're not there yet, but he probably will go earlier than he should. But my comp for him was actually Joe Burrow. Is like, he doesn't now he's not having the season Joe Burrow had, and he definitely isn't like that like A+ tier. Yeah, he's not there. But the comp, the reason why I gave it is because he puts the ball exactly where it needs to be. He keeps everything on time, and he just the ball just keeps moving, and the offense keeps moving. And
would you say he's a B+ version of Joe Burrow or a C+? Damn, Morgan, you were quick to it.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like C+,
like B,
C+,
B.
B-.
That's still not. Yeah. That's potential.
Yeah. No. It's like if he could. In theory, he could be as good someday as Joe Burrow. He's just not there yet, and he's also not doing it at LSU and like destroying great teams.
Yeah.
Ben brought up Grayson Mccall. I remember watching some of him last year when I was looking at Taron Jackson, actually. Seeing a bit of glimpses. I can't comment, Ben. I will get back to you. I'll watch that film. Yeah. And similar with the guy that Bryan brought up to you. I have to watch these.
I'm curious about I can't say his last name for life. I don't know if it's Levi's or Levis.
Levy. Sorry, let the Canadian do it for you.
All right, whatever it can be.
French last name.
I mean, I'm curious about it. The guy's 6'3". Marcus did say he has an arm on him, and he can actually run as well out of pocket. So I'm curious to see some tape on him.
I trust Marcus's game.
Because he got excited about that kid. It's a weird predicament to be in, but you know what? I say let's revisit this conversation in a couple weeks. We'll bring Kyle back on. Let's talk quarterbacks.
Let's talk quarterbacks.
I mean, we're week 6 right now, so let's say like week 10 or so, maybe even for the bye week
when everything's burnt.
When we actually see if they're actually moving forward or they're moving backwards.
Brian's got 6 tattoos, 3 on his forehead.
And
he's
I went to the tattoo parlor. This girl was like tatted everywhere, eyebrows, and I'm like, bro, I barely want one.
You don't have to do those things. If you get your eyebrows tatted, you don't have to pluck those things every day anymore.
Yeah,
I don't pluck them. I barely have them. It's like they stopped right here. This is a shadow.
Yeah. No, let's definitely do this again. But also, I mean, let's not throw out, like, they got some easier games coming up. Let's not
absolutely. Well, they have the easiest schedule in the league.
Hey, we always do this to our guests. We kind of screw them, but this weekend prediction Raiders game. Throw out some numbers for us. I feel like, Brian, we got to switch this to like what needs to happen for the Eagles to win, because it's like putting out a number is like, it can't, football these days, it could be 13-12 and it could be 46-31.
Listen, all I ever say is, what's your prediction for the Eagles versus so and so? I never say, hey, give me a number. You guys just give me numbers, and I rock with it.
That's fair. Yeah, what's your prediction, Kyle, for this Sunday?
All right, so let's do. You know what? I'm going to start a segment that, I mean, may not exist after I'm not on this pod.
Perfect.
But
the Kyle segment.
The Kyle segment. Stat of the week. All right. Stat of the week.
Okay. Cool. I like it.
Teams with interim head coaches in their first week in the past 2 years, 4-0.
Okay.
Teams with it's not in the past 2 years. I think in the past, it's 3 or 4 years. Okay. But they are 4-0.
Okay.
On the second week with the interim head coach, with the head coach, 0-4.
Okay.
Ooh.
See, this is
why is that not on the Twitterverse? Like, why is that not populated?
They're riding on adrenaline. They're riding on that adrenaline. New coach.
Yeah, exactly. It's the new coach high, rally around the new coach. And it's not, and honestly, look, I think the Raiders are a more talented team, but at the same time, there's so much happening around them.
Right.
And there's so much going on. And they threw everything they had into that last game. And look, they played fantastic against Denver. But I think the come down seems to be real on that, like, oh, we got rid of our last coach. we got to play so hard for this coach kind of situation. And I think the 0-4 the next week is kind of a big deal. It's telling of like how draining it is to switch coaches.
Right.
And
So don't start down Derek Carr in fantasy is what you're saying.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Don't start.
Josh
Well,
Jacobs.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, with the 2 high safeties, he still might get yards, but I honestly, I think the Eagles are going to win this game. I'm an eternal optimist, so like don't always go by that. But I think we'll win. I think Derek Carr is like a good quarterback. He's like between 12th and 15th best quarterback in the NFL. But I think that's kind of exactly the range that this defense can handle.
Right.
And keep
the
contained.
Sam Darnold circle.
Yeah.
Will.
Well, yeah, if you will. I mean, he's definitely way better than Sam Darnold. But I think this defense can contain somebody like that. I think we can hold them to around 20 points. And I think we'll probably put up like 27. So I'm going to say 27-20. Birds.
So I'm going to ask you, we're going to deep dive into this prediction stuff. All right, here you go, Morgan. This is a good one for you.
All right.
Do the Eagles win in convincing fashion, or is it kind of one of those like they came back and it was Jalen Hurts using his legs and the offense still looks like shit?
Oh, okay. I'll take this real quick. I think.
okay.
That was open for the whole podcast, Morgan.
Yeah, Morgan, you kind of botched it, but it's all right.
Sorry,
no, so it's fine. I think honestly, so Lane Johnson's coming back.
Mm-hmm.
And they have
hopefully Dallas.
Yeah, and hopefully Dallas, and the Raiders have a good defensive line, but they don't have really anything special on their defense outside of that. I genuinely think that this will be I don't think it's going to be maybe like convincing is a strong word. I think it's going to be like, we're going to come out of this game and be like, that was a good performance. We're not going to be like, wow, they dominated the game. It was never in doubt. I don't think that, but I think it'll be like, that was a good game.
Like Carolina?
Yeah, no, I think it'll be better than Carolina.
Okay.
Come on. I mean, the first half wasn't convincing at all.
They haven't been better since Atlanta.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. That's the point is I think you got to kind of temper your expectations for what convincing means this year, right? It's like, okay, we beat Atlanta convincingly. Atlanta might be on paper, the worst team in the league, right?
Yeah.
So like, of course they're getting. The other thing is like, okay, were you more convinced by the win in Carolina, or were you more convinced at how they tried to come back against the Chiefs? It's like there's varying levels of what convincing looks like, and I think like Kyle was saying, a great defensive line. We haven't really had that much trouble containing opposing defensive lines this year. I think a lot of it's just Jalen Hurts getting out of the pocket. And like you said, linebackers are, kind of a who's who of guys that used to be pretty good. And then, they're vets, and then they got a rookie, and then, some decent corners, some pretty good safeties. And, it's not nothing that shocks you. So I think that like, it's going to be about the defense's ability to stop this offense. And I think that Kyle makes a really good point with, the kind of hype surrounding a new coach. Now that coach was, he had his hand in everything, but more of an offensive coach, right? So I don't really see this defense taking a massive step back. But the offense, on the other hand, we don't know, right? Like that, they're a huge wild card. So I think it's a really telling stat that you're talking about is, they might be 4-0, but it's really going to be about, can this defense shut down that momentum? Can they say, hey, listen, like whether or not they see the stat, but like, we know there's kind of this turnover on the offensive side. Can we shut down this offense? Our offense against this defense, I don't think that's going to be convincing for another few weeks. Like, I don't think until they get in a rhythm, they keep going. But what I would like to see, what would be convincing for me is they shut down this offense that, to me, for some reason, is better than they should be. They're not terrible. They got some playmakers, but
they look pretty good.
Would you say that their receiving core is better than ours even? I don't
No.
Like, they got Henry Ruggs, who's fast, and, he's getting better. Brian Edwards is,
He was a steal. I don't care what anybody says. That kid was definitely a steal.
Yeah.
Right, but is he a top 15?
No, absolutely
You
not.
know what I mean? Like, it's that receiving core. Josh Jacobs is a great running back. Probably a touch better than Miles Sanders, especially with the vision.
You take that back. Take that back right now.
With the vision, it's not as athletic.
No, you take that back right now, okay?
But it's I'm just gonna continue, Brian. But like a team that
What about Renfro and Waller?
Renfro's great. Greg Ward with more opportunity. He's like,
he's
faster.
How did Greg Ward make an appearance on this podcast?
He's got it. He's a decent slot receiver. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think, again, that's not like, you don't say like, oh, we play good on defense. Hunter Renfro is going to get his. He always does. It's like, you can shut that guy down. Like, you should be able to shut him down to contain Henry Ruggs and then focus on stopping the run with your front seven. Like, that should be something we can accomplish.
I honestly, I think the biggest thing, and I think what honestly probably will be accomplished, is I think Renfro honestly might be frustrating at a few certain plays, but I don't see him killing us. I don't see. The biggest thing is I'm actually going to be super curious if this happens. I'm curious if Slay is going to be mostly covering Waller. Yeah. And I think if that happens, we're in good shape. I think Darius has had a good season. I would like to see him mostly cover Waller because he lines up at the X so much. They basically split him. He more plays X wide receiver than tight end. Right. And so I'd like to see Darius Slay covering him. And I just nothing. What I would say is like, look, Renfro and Waller is a great tight end, like one of the best in the league. Renfro has come on for sure, but nothing scares you. They're not a scary offense, and I think that's probably more of what Morgan is saying. Is they're not putting fright in you, and I think they're stoppable. They're stoppable. Right. I think bottom line, and even if they get their yards, I think the red zone is going to be harder. I think we'll kind of drop a lot into zone, and that's when zones help. When if you drop 8 guys into a zone like that, like where are you throwing the ball? There's nowhere to throw. Provided that Anthony Harris is actually where he should be. Yeah.
All right. Well, it's gonna be interesting to see what the Eagles actually accomplish in Vegas. Whether it's they show signs of life on the offense, defense shuts them down, and possibly pull out the victory. I don't have the team winning still, just because it seems too good to be true for them to pull this off right now. It's gonna be interesting the rest of the season, but we're gonna keep our promise. If this season ends up staying the way it is, and around like week 10, week 11, even if it isn't, we're gonna bring Kyle back on. So we'll talk Eagles and we'll talk quarterbacks if we need to talk quarterbacks.
We'll talk offensive line if we don't. We'll talk defensive line.
Yeah, we'll talk.
Let's talk about Jason Kelsey, who had the greatest interview of all time today.
Freaking Ben Simmons, bro. Come on, guys. It's not supposed to be an angry pod no more.
Just play better. It has to be one of the best 3-line statements I've ever heard.
It's like common sense isn't so common. But yeah, we'll be back on Tuesday. We'll have 2 special guests. We're gonna have kind of an Eagles roundtable talk with two guests that have succeeded on their own platforms right now, and we'll be back again next week. I'm Brian Cameron. He's Morgan Burkett. Big shout out to Kyle Houlihan, one of our great PSN members. Who
check out his articles if you guys haven't. They're all fantastic. Yeah. Great breakdowns.
But this is Flippin the Birds.
Go Birds.
Yes, sir.
Go Birds.